Okay, here we go.
Oh,
So this is
just try and stay out of your way. Bossy.
this is basic, a kind of basic Yamaha service that we do, and a lot of people probably do from time to time, is loop chords and addressing the hammers, which are kind of the two main issues with Yamaha. Is the hammers get really bright, or you know, this is an old sort of 70s one, but it hasn't had much play, but the hammers are already, you know, not particularly nice shape. This actually came from the piano shop, from the dark days of the piano shop. It got delivered to the piano shop because there was a marital dispute. The husband had poured acid into the strung back, so all of the metal parts had corroded, and the piano shop didn't want to deal with it. They thought, oh, we'll just give it to any person, and maybe they'll deal with it. And you know, it was just too far gone. Everything would need replacing. All the bearing bars had suffered damage. All the, you know,
Why did you pour the acid in them?
marital dispute.
Okay, right.
I mean,
I thought it was a mouse dispute.
a mouse dispute. Yeah, that was probably part of it.
If
And you see,
he poured it on his wife, he would have gone to court.
he was a chemist, but you see accidental chemists all the time in schools where they just drop coke
Yep.
in the Yamaha, and it does the same job. You know, it destroys all the bass strings and things like that. But so this is in between jobs. I hope to have a full service, but we had one a couple of weeks ago, having another one during the school holidays. But this will serve purpose because it's not. I'm not going to go through the whole action. And anyone who wants to have a go at doing any of it can have a go. But it's not, especially the hammer shaping. Maybe if you can do. If anybody wants to try hammer shaping, it's quite straightforward. The procedure we use anyway. And I was talking to Nathan, wherever he is, last night, and if you want speed in this job, he's the man to see. I do it incredibly slowly compared to Nathan, apparently. Yeah, but I think the procedure's really similar.
Sounded the same.
Yeah. So the first thing is I take the damper slap rail and the hammer rest rail off, so you can lie it. Well, I take the hammers off first at the butts. You can probably do loops around butts. You do it sometimes on hammers without butt plates, but it's a pain in the arse, and especially if you're doing a whole set, it's just so easy to, even if you weren't doing anything for hammers, I'd probably still take the whole lot off of the butt plates and just, so you've got access to the whole thing there. And when this has got no dampers on it, but when the dampers are on it, these set up a little bit higher, so that there's much better access to the flanges. And this one's got no sign of any chords in it.
Do you normally do your cotton loops with the action that way around?
Yeah.
Because Nate's cheaters that by doing it the other way around all the weapons.
Full back. But also you have the.
Oh, there you go.
You'd have the lift rod. So the lift rod sits up like that.
Of course, sorry.
And I put a block under the other action bracket. So yeah, that's. I hadn't actually realised that. So the weapons aren't an issue anyway.
Yeah.
You don't normally take the dampers off the way.
No. No, this is
Pretty full on for Luke.
Yeah, the strung back got taken to the end, but the action was in pretty good condition. So it's been salvaged for over 10 or 12 years for parts. I think. We did this little ship's piano. This 4 or 5 octave, and I just reused the hammers. It only needed half a set of hammers. These hammers got put on the ship's piano. And, that sort of situation, and the odd butt here and there that, or the little screws strip the thread or something, just interchange. Yamaha parts are
Great.
interchangeable. You just leave a very short shank, so you can't really put that in the U1. Okay, so the main procedure is just getting rid of to start with, is getting rid of the old loops, and that's, sometimes they pretty much just fall out and you don't need to do anything other than just, I've got a little brooch holder with a bridge pin in it. And that's quite good too. Fits nicely, you can just sort of scrape down.
Yeah. What's the metal there?
That's just a bridge pin.
A bridge pin, okay.
Pass it round, that's very technical equipment. sometimes you get them, and if you're doing something other than Yamaha, you might have a little bit more issue getting the loops out, the loops out. So we'll supply alcohol and kind of flood it reasonably well, and then you can often take them out nice when they're wet still. You can leave them to dry sometimes if they're those ones that sort of just disintegrate. Doesn't really matter what you do, you just put a bit of alcohol, and any time when you come along you can just rub them out. I think there's one here with a butt still on it. So we'll do a little demonstration on this one. This wasn't prepared earlier for some reason. There's one that didn't get removed.
It doesn't look like it was one of the original brown ones either.
Yeah, I don't know, it might be.
Yeah.
Oh no, it isn't actually. Maybe it's one's been replaced.
Yeah, that's the only
So
reason.
maybe we won't try it because it won't come out.
What colour is it?
It's sort of a off-white.
Yeah.
Then it is a brown. It's just had a lot of glue on it to stop it from going funny. Yeah, it's an old one.
Yeah, but often you can just
Rip
pull
them
them out. Yeah.
I like them when they haven't started to rot too much yet, because you can pull them out,
That
and
pulled
then
out.
it's cleaner, and away you go. It's a freebie.
They hasn't really pulled out.
You might get one in ADO. Every
But
freebie
this is-
counts.
I'll just do this as a, because this is the procedure we normally use, and it just tidies everything up, gets rid of the extra debris as well when you put isopropyl alcohol in.
Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. You just want to be a little bit careful, probably you don't stab yourself, but
Oh, could be a good trick.
this has been used a lot, so that the cylinder kind of jams a wee bit, pops off the little.
The ISO swells the rubber plunger.
Yeah. So you
Where's your spoon to cook it on?
faff around trying to get this stupid thing out. I usually leave it up so it doesn't sit on and this is, Stephen's probably got access to all this, but my sister's a nurse, so she gets.
Oh, it's easy. You just buy them online.
Oh, yeah?
Anybody that can buy them. I think I use
Has to be straight up.
Caps Medical
Oh, okay,
Supplies.
Yeah.
The chemist would sell them.
Well,
Yeah.
Syringes.
This is a bit of the chemist.
Right.
We did
You
this.
can get them cheap online by the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I
The
do.
cheapest place that we've found is just queue up at Needle Exchange.
Yes.
So each city's got a needle exchange, and so I go to the needle exchange, and I'm standing there, and there's people scratching their arms, and you go up, and the guy before you has bought one, and then he goes through a sneaky door to have his fun, and then I was like, I'll have 40 of those and 40 of those, and then I pay with a Visa card and ask for a GST receipt, and because it's a needle exchange to reduce transmittable diseases, obviously, so it's fully government subsidised, so you'll get that syringe and needle for 20 cents. And if you keep the old ones, because they give you a Sharps disposable container, if you keep the old one and fill up your Sharps disposable and take it back, you get a credit for returning the used fits. And so we've got the yellow hazardous substance containers on the workbench. So if you keep throwing your razor blades in with the syringes, when you get to needle exchange, they're not allowed to take the lid off. So they just go by weight. Oh yeah, there's got to be 50 in there, and then you get 50 discounted needles back.
They know you by now.
Just go in with a bit of a shake.
Yeah, it needs to rattle. So razor blades, pajama knives and needles, and then they dispose of the whole lot for you for free, and then subsidise your next batch of needles.
Not that
I go into my piano tuning. They know
Maybe
me.
delete that, Eugene.
the whole story.
I said the Ministry of Health.
I took every wrong thing.
On the news tomorrow.
Okay, so it's good to have a rag. You kind of just get the initial, because you might find that it flies out. If you don't really need to press it too hard. Just kind of
It's not
gentle.
practical.
Have you tried a microoiler with the ISO?
No, they work well.
A pipette.
This is good because you don't put any pressure on it, and it's just flooding the rest of the lube. Yeah.
And then I might put you in to use the needle exchange strap.
He's a good job score.
Ooh, that might be
From the kitchen beach. All of these jobs are really good. You don't need any tools really or a big work or anything. And there's a lot of work out there.
Yes.
We do it you know, whatever else you just keep popping along.
Sharp tools. Little 4-year-old.
Usually don't spend
Maybe slightly older.
3 minutes if we remove one loop.
You want to be thorough for the presentation.
Worst possible cases.
A Japanese saw?
The little Japanese.
Yeah. Especially non-Yamaha ones sometimes.
More alcohol, that helps.
But that, you just try and get rid of everything.
One
So
fully.
it's nice wooden surface again.
Yeah.
We use, I've got one of those little holders that you buy from Bunnings that takes a hacksaw blade
Yep.
and you snap the blade off and turn it round so you're pulling.
Yeah.
That's pull, becomes a pull saw.
Yeah.
But you have to get rid of a little bit of the width of the blade, just beat it flat a little bit so it's
Sits on the slot, yeah.
grind a bit off.
But that's a sensitive process to do that 88 times. And then with most of the older Yamahas, they just fall out and it's a piece of cake to get rid of the loop.
Luckily, it's just
Like a point and chisel backwards.
that goes into the cup. You know, it's just the little thing when you spin
The next procedure is to get your new loops, and we just use nylon cord, and have been for a long time, so they seem to be working well. They haven't started to disintegrate yet, which is a good thing. And this is a system that Yuji, you designed this system or found this system from somewhere where you put it around, you wrap the
Oh yeah, that
loops around. This is the right size for Yamaha loops.
Yeah.
Other times we just add more shim or usually some of the older ones are larger loops, so we generally have gone smaller than that.
What's your standard record length?
I normally just put the loops into the just to there.
Yeah.
It starts to
No, as in how long do you cut your cotton?
how long.
Yeah, you didn't say how long you're cutting your lengths.
I don't know. I measured it so long ago that I don't even know how long they are now. I just did it this long.
Yes.
It probably works out to
I use that 16mm dowel.
How long is it?
right.
44 to 45 mils. I
Yeah,
think is the
we'll
cotton.
measure. We can measure one.
44 miles.
See if I've probably been doing it wrong for.
I'll show you.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's
for a start, it's
roughly a half
system.
inch off now.
Yeah, it's just a through.
Remember Birchville turned up and he had that connected to the battery drill?
I just need a little
But
bit
you put the battery drill in his
That's all right.
get it on like a bass string and then
That's what I do.
have you got a battery drill?
Yes.
Late display program.
Yeah, you just put it in, one's got a pre-cut through.
Yep.
Only a little bit.
That goes in the
I normally have to keep track of where you're at, so you go, I'm just going to mark out here, that's roughly 88. And keep reasonably well tension, so that they're the same.
So you're
I've done about 3.
Oh,
It's usually good to do a few more because sometimes you and then when I get to the end,
oh yeah.
until I got it right.
put a little bit of tape on to hold that.
And then
The thing you need to,
just turn.
it's good to get a really sharp blade, so I usually,
Yes.
if you want a knife, you don't really want the frame at the end.
So they have a nightmare.
Yeah. So I normally flip off the last bit of the blade and use a regular blade and a ruler.
Do all that cutting along money.
I probably should have been a little more generous and done a few more loops.
But take it on the other side and come to the back side, so you pull it
Just
and
cut it anywhere along the.
Oh,
stuck.
yeah, that's a good idea.
No,
Yeah, done.
Going all over the floor.
No, that's
Oh,
right.
that's why you that sticks there. Alright, yeah.
Yeah, then you
More
just
work doing it that way. Otherwise, you know.
So I've got 4 to do. Yeah. Should we go through gluing them? But gluing.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay.
We've got no idea on that part.
Really?
We've been up to now.
First thing you need is glue. I put them in with bulldog glue, so nobody else is ever going to get them out.
Jesus. Because of the importance of
It comes out again.
The good thing with bulldog is it tacks quite quickly, and
Yeah, well,
especially when it's warm enough that you can put. I've done them in someone's house and just put it on immediately and put the spring on immediately because there's enough surface area in that slot that it's
Fine.
unless you really tug it hard, the spring's not going to pull it out. But you could pull it hard enough, you probably tug it out initially.
That aqua here's come out in quick set and that's fantastic.
that good
too.
quick set is really
Yeah,
Quick
this
set
is-
aqua here.
The quick set aquid hues.
But this is
Yeah.
disguised. This is bulldog disguised as that because
Oh, I saw that written on there. It's
Yeah.
like,
Just to trip us up.
and I'd normally do if I was doing a whole set, I'd sort of do 10 at a time on
One
where,
side.
on one
before the
side.
glue starts to. It's even when it's on the.
So just put your glue
on
in
that
that.
side.
Yeah, and I'd do all the way through
Yeah,
on one
one
side.
side.
Yeah,
And by the time it gets dry, you can fold it over.
and let's just measure one of these. This is the pressure test now, isn't it?
Why? It's alright. We don't judge.
44.
Too harshly.
bang on.
44. Yeah.
See, I do 50.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they still work fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you got
Yeah.
this springs tension. The shorter the
The
loop,
ones I measured were 50, so.
Yeah, yeah.
the shorter
Yeah.
the loop, the gruntier the springs become.
Yeah, yeah,
Or sorry, and the shorter the spring, the gruntier the springs become.
yeah.
Quicker the other way around.
Mm.
So you should be checking the length of the original.
There's always
Yeah,
a
one left.
trade-off.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
if you pour acid into it.
I did that a long time ago and checked them and thought, and then there might be the
Yeah.
variation from.
If you get the ones that have got new white cord that are coming out already done, you actually find they're a little bit longer than what the originals were.
Yeah,
Just because I think that's just easy for them, I suppose.
yeah, and we've put this size on every Yamaha, so I've never had an issue.
No.
As long as they're all the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're not too
Not
tight.
far
If
too
they're
long,
too tight,
yeah.
then they won't
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
work
that's
play.
right.
They'll start jamming. But
Yeah. I mean, if those were the same length,
Closer to the originals.
Oh,
good.
yeah,
but springs will have larger variances.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, do you want to
Just
Yeah.
see what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of other. Yeah.
It's very thin.
There's an even finer one.
Struck Yamaha the other day. Because we first time we just looked for water brands and sell job here.
That's similar. I think that's slightly finer. That's probably just not nylon.
We, yeah,
That's
this
the
Yamaha,
slightly finer one. I think.
every couple was white.
It's
You
probably
looked in and they had full broken
Oh
springs.
yeah, yeah. And that's the stuff that comes from.
Yes, that's what I get. That's my juice.
Yeah. It's okay for some flanges, but not
So it was a transition where they changed from brown to white. And that's
basically
what we actually got.
You wedge that down.
Yeah, the green.
Or
Down.
white or brown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a glue.
Well, in Japan, I think a lot of them would have been fit to the warranty.
Yeah, yeah.
We make it work.
But I think that's more you get
If they broke within
No,
15
that-
years.
That's not from
You'll know if you
piano.
in the real, they have one of those cute little wheels.
I'm not
69 cents a metre.
Yeah, it's probably from
88 pounds.
No, it just comes with so much of the stuff.
Technically, it's
Yeah.
actually
One
Nobody
thing.
needs to
They
replace
use
it.
it for trace.
Well, we've used
cord, not just strings.
Yeah, yeah.
So whether or not that makes a difference.
Yeah, what do you want to have?
Like
Well,
it's
yeah.
Is that the
you
real
know,
stuff?
the silk is a,
Yeah.
when you look at it.
That's Yamaha approved.
Yamaha approved?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Which
Yeah.
which stuff the work?
It's like a
Um,
cord.
Okay,
No?
so somebody wants to see
No, that's
gluing.
right. That's right.
I normally just use a
We're talking about this stuff.
little,
Yeah, versus say like
Stick.
nylon.
not a,
Just
not
like
a lollipop,
official
normally
nylon or
just
something like that.
dowel
Which is just
to
a solid.
2 or 3 mil, you know, the
Oh,
brush dowel
Yep.
sticks that you get, they just shave off the end
Yeah,
so
no,
it
this
fits into the
is
slot. And this is probably where Nathan's got some tips, because I find applying the glue in the slot, I try and do it quite nicely, so it's quite slow. But you just throw the stuff into it.
No, I use a tiniest little wee screwdriver that I've got,
Oh, yeah,
and I
you
put
do
a
that
tiny, and I
sometimes.
use like just a pinhead worth of glue
Yeah, yeah.
to hold them all in there.
Yeah.
And when I come, and then
when I've glued all of them in, I actually go back and put a little bit of glue on top,
Oh,
just
yeah.
for my own peace of mind.
Yeah.
I don't need to, but
I
I
go
like
back
to.
and press them down so that they're all sitting
Yeah.
seated. I don't worry about putting more glue in, but I just go down and make sure that they're all.
Usually the tiniest little bit of glue, actually, when you push the cord in over top,
Yeah.
goes. And you've got to watch, if you do it too high,
Yeah.
it actually comes up out of the top of the flange, and
Yeah.
then when you've got your cord and you've got this big blob of glue on it, and it actually reduces your cotton loops down, and they can't bend.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very careful not to put too much glue too high. I always put the glue at the bottom third of the slot.
Yeah, sometimes you get a little blob under there.
Yeah, and it squishes out the top, which means you're putting too much in.
You know,
But-
a
yeah,
little,
yeah.
little hard bit of rope.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, this. So I don't worry about that end bar. I just go to the little
Goalpost.
the flat part of the way that just goes in there.
As long as it's consistent.
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
but because it curves up a bit, that
Yeah.
you start to. It doesn't seat very nicely, and it always looks like, you know, when they're poking out and it's a bit rough, and they start fraying.
Looks a bit aftermarket.
Yeah.
Who's going to see it though?
Oh, I know, right? That mouse is running down the action rail.
Customer pulls the piano apart when you've gone to check that it's.
I probably put more glue in as well, so I'm wasting materials. I just run a little line and then
I mean, it's such a
clean
material
off
intensive
the
job.
yeah, clean off the top. Then get your little loop. Try not to drop it.
I found the best way to actually sell this job is get the customer over and look into the treble section, so you don't even have to move anything. You get them to have a look at them. Look, there's one that's not connected, there's one that is connected. Grab your patch wedge, grab a brown cotton and roll the wedge, and it just pulls it out whole, like a pair of tweezers, so you don't need to get a tool out of your tool case. And then you go, watch this, and you just get that brown loop and roll it between your fingers, and then go, gone. And it's sort of our standard joke, it's the only magic trick we know to make the cotton loops disappear. And as soon as they see that, when you go and it just turns to powder, then it's job solved.
Yeah.
It's such an easy routine maintenance job.
I actually came across one where I couldn't even find. I think once I'd actually blown out
Couldn't find any
the
cord.
action, the air compressor had removed the rest of it. I was like, there's not a single button
That's
cord in here.
powerful.
There's nothing.
There were no dampers left either.
Yeah, maybe I could go
Really
away.
softly voiced in the heads.
Yeah.
So normally,
Yeah, awesome.
I'm not going to tell you how long it takes. It takes quite a lot longer than to do the whole kit. So the glue's well and truly dry enough to loop round when you come back to number one.
Yep.
No times. But that's just quite nicely, isn't it?
That's right. That's
So you just go to that.
Go to the
Go to
with the
bottom
line.
line,
Yeah,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
waters.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you, that's the only line you can follow, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're guessing, aren't you?
Yeah, and you could go, some of them, not on the Yamaha theory, but some of
Haven't you got some small children you could train to do this job, Andrew?
What's that?
Haven't you got some small children you could train to do this job for you? Now, kids, if you want your $5 pocket money, it's only 88 to do.
Yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah, work on that.
We're still trying to get it.
Oh, no, you've got a long way to go.
You got one with a little pin, so that
Louis.
There's an action up here that
There's probably got a couple of bush here.
Oh yeah.
What about the action stuff? Do you
Yes, so, no, so what you can do, you can do, see,
I'll show you that.
they're all on the action here.
This goes on here like this. And on Yamaha, you can just undo that screw and then these pop off. This comes off the action and this stays on the
And
action.
here's one I
You
prepared
can then
earlier.
Yeah, this is
scrape all
one
these
that
out
Well-
on the mechanics.
trainee was doing. This is horrible piano. Unserviceable hammers. The thing, the guy plays it so hard that all the fingers were just wandering.
Yeah.
The older pianos don't
Someone's
have that.
easy to do.
On the German glacial floor, you don't get them on pianos.
Some of the Yamaha.
Or Nathan was getting the Royal little George on it. And he does little shit.
It's a great innovation.
Spend every
And I can't remember about that. When they're trying to get the cords out for the springs.
Even if the screws cut the back off.
Some English piano, it might be springs needed but those hammers don't but the thing was, it was made springs because it played it so hard, all the centers are flogged out. And there were some 1.5 mil center pins.
Lloydinators.
Yeah,
Call
yeah.
them
So it
Lloydinators.
is about 4 bushings, but yeah, it's not really viable to do it. It's so bad that it's just to get it a bit more in a line.
New butts, new shanks,
Yeah,
new
yeah.
hammers.
New
It
strings,
comes
new
better.
bridges.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all
Tunes
talk
back.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but he just
But
wanted
there's
it.
a point at which you don't fix something, you just replace
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Isn't it? So,
So even the springs, that wasn't really part of the brief, it was mainly the centres, but they were, yeah.
oh, that's a butt plate one. So you could actually rebush, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a few bushings, the centre pins in there already were 1.5,
Yeah.
and some of them you took out and the pin just fell out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's not
What
much
flavour of piano is that out of?
I think it's an English piano, it's a Brunswick or something like that.
Yeah, I think I still have in books on the rail.
Would have been a good generation, but yeah.
Yeah, with those hammers, it's got no
Such
chance.
the wrong hammers for that.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to do a hammer reshaping job, any people there.
That's probably a spare out. Start with 40 grit.
Yeah, just at least. Maybe.
Usually, what's next on the program?
Like
the
no,
Wytze.
no.
Wytze. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Congress.
So will that be after morning tea?
Yes, that's
Curve
right.
in the background, I'm trying to
He may need probably 1 hour or so, probably.
Yeah,
twist
Yeah,
the number
so
when you
it's not
Yeah.
so
glue them
many.
around the other side.
What time is it?
it's
Follow
10.
the
10 now.
Okay. Oh, still
curve of
10.
the chord. Position like that.
Nice.
Yep. That's so that's stage 1. That's the loops. Any other
And you, the length of your chord
chord? Yeah.
dictates how big that loop is.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not looping them around a little jig or something like that.
No. So just going to the
Same place on
the
Same place.
the flat of the chords and that.
If you can't take the butt plates off, you have to do it that way. And then years ago, when you did cotton loops without butt plates like that, you take the whole flange off. We set that on a hammer shank pin blob, and then you'd sit there and you'd have to glue all the way around a nail at the end so that they all come around.
But it's quite tricky.
They're a lot more tricky, yeah.
Because pulling them round and tensioning them the same.
Pulls out the other side.
Will was quite nervous about doing that, so we had a little jig. We had a pin, a centre pin here and a brass pin here, so that he could gauge them. But it becomes awkward to pull them around.
Yeah. You really want to have one side properly glued before you do pull it around the
check
other
it.
side.
You use that just as a check, really.
It is largely unnecessary when you're using a tool like that.
Yeah, because they're all consistent.
They're really consistent.
And I mean, Yamaha renowned for consistency in its machining and all the parts, so we've never had an issue with them.
I mean, as I was saying before, there's going to be a much larger inconsistency on the spring tensions.
Yeah.
But, in there, even if they were carefully put in the factory, then fractions of a millimetre on the
Yeah.
on the loop.
Yeah, it's a motorised one. Everything needs a motor.
I've been using mine religiously.
Okay, so next stage is dealing with the hammers.
Nate uses his block of wood and then about every 6th action he gets a free one left.
So because I was quite nervous about shaping hammers in front of people, I prepared a few before. These are ones that were. So I'll show you what I do and maybe do a little bit of shaping. or somebody else can do a bit of shaping if they want to have a go. Because these hammers are not.
And show us the shape of the old hammers.
Yeah,
that you said are there.
yeah. These are the treble ones, and this hasn't had much use. So the treble ones aren't atrocious. They've got a reasonable point in them, but they're still hard as hell. So you'd still tidy those up. But the bass ones, and often it's the bass, the treble, they're just round, and that's
they're starting to come
really,
apart
yeah,
like
yeah.
that after the string
Yeah.
comes.
and the hard strike surface.
And a lot of cupping.
Yeah,
A lot of cupping.
yeah,
there, so,
yeah. So that's
Nice shape.
Cupping
I'm
here.
looking
Envious that.
at Jenkin.
So we,
Oh, yeah.
when they get sliced,
This is based on David's jig,
on the outside.
Yeah.
and features
When you get them, especially
a number of clamps that somehow disappears in David's workshop. I do.
It actually looks better than mine.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, it looks newer.
It probably hasn't been mishandled by so many people. Francois was an overtone, so he
Alright.
launched the thread, so he used to be able to just do it with Allen key, but now you have to get a spanner to put nuts on
Actually,
the back.
I have just altered mine to what do you call it? Like the action bolts.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Just a plastic knob.
yeah, yeah. I see,
And
yeah.
it just did them up by hand, and that seems to be
Yeah, because it's good to have
fine,
one hand
because
spare
it's
to
much quicker to
manipulate the hammers
get a
rather
tool.
than having two tools,
Yeah.
one tool in each hand. If you've
Yeah.
got one hand free to manipulate, you know,
Yeah.
just check that everything's aligned.
What's the sliding piece of steel at this end in the run?
This bit,
No, down in
That?
the run. Just
that,
there, that.
that's just the thing that pushes against the
Okay.
sides of the hammers.
End stop.
Yeah, yeah. The technical term. The thing that pushes against the end of the hammers.
It is really
I just
easy.
get a spanner. I forgot about the spanner.
That's so funny because I was going to make one for that line. All the exact plans. It's still sitting on the bench ready to be chopped up.
So you can put ground hammers and shafts in there as
Yeah, yeah, so there's a few little bits and pieces of wood and
Hammer shape
Uh,
2002.
I think the one that I made for you,
bits and pieces.
yeah, and it doesn't have that little thing on it, that back
No, it
part,
doesn't.
so, because you know the really short shanks
Yeah.
kind of just fall off if you put them
Yeah.
on. And
Oh right, yeah. So it's just
so it's just an extra
support.
support, yeah. But I'd use this for everything, so pre-voicing, so every set of hammers just come straight in here
Yeah.
before they get glued onto shanks or anything, so without, you know, without question they just get pre-voiced.
Yes.
Do it again because it's so easy and so consistent. You've got everything in a nice position for working. You know, as soon as you get stuff in pianos, your body's kind of twisting and moving around and leaning over.
Yeah, unfortunately we run into a lot of sets of hammers which have not been pre-voiced.
Yeah, you still need to
Or-
know how to do it in the piano. Because,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you can, that makes such a huge difference to the way that it sounds straight away.
Yeah, and it saves.
It did save so much time
Yeah.
that it's silly not to,
And it's probably
not to do this process.
because sometimes you just get inconsistent hammers out of the box anyway. So if you're gluing them, you glue them more accurately when you've got a nicer shape on them. You know, because you're lining them up. Everything lines up nicely when you're doing the gluing. So it makes
Good
sense.
point,
Yeah, because there was one set, I can't remember, from Arbor, and the bass hammers were just, they were way worse than that. They looked like, I don't know, cauliflowers. Nathan's obsessed with. Yeah. There's no way you want to put that in the piano.
Yeah.
Or you put it in the piano and then you've got a hell of a lot of work to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we just need to find everything. Usually everything goes in the tray and it's numbered and it's just easy to deal with. But now bits and pieces are falling out. And where's that? I'll grab that other one just so we can put that in the line.
Give us the shapes on the
What's that? Do you want the hammers?
Yeah. We haven't been this bad.
Yeah. they're only done with 2 grits of sandpaper, so 80 and 180, and often that's what I do with Yamaha pianos, don't go any finer. Maybe if you do any matching, but generally don't matching on upright. Normally what it, I'll go through the procedure anyway. Fortunately, 8. Too much.
Are you just savouring it? Is that
So I just draw a line on the top, and you can get fancy and put a ruler along the core, roll up to the, which is the standard way of doing it really. But you can kind of just eyeball and put a point on the top. And for this purpose that we find, just go into the jig.
Do you find the glue colours get clearance?
Yeah, this is it's,
Rounded off.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just got a bevel on the edge,
Oh,
so
okay.
the glue colours are clear.
It's definitely quite the coup using the slide off the G plant.
Yeah.
Because it's already serrated to,
Yeah.
for the etching.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that had been a machine, especially when I looked at a place that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I spotted the same clamp down there, he whipped the end off. I'm like, no, over
I
that.
think that's probably yours got the same, isn't it? Or just an old
Sorry.
And
that,
all-
that
all-
plant
sheet
seems
come
yours
from
the
the
same as
end.
that.
Yeah, it looks
Just to
exactly
butcher.
the same.
Yeah, it is pretty similar.
Just
it's just made out of fancier wood. That's
Yeah,
that's
no,
Paduke.
find your one.
Yeah.
You got that Paduke?
Yeah. I'm pleased to see it's still out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I've still got a tuning hammer made out of Paduke as well.
I've done its job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but but the main block of mine is teak.
Oh, is it?
Oh
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it makes such a difference to the shaving job.
Yeah, I've made mine house with rock maple. I'm going out of business.
Yeah.
So that's into that. Too expensive. Yeah.
There's always bits of tuning plant in favour, all sorts of
Yeah.
weird shapes and things.
The deli nuts are real handy for jigs.
Yeah.
I just use two Samick W160s on both sides. That holds the things together really well. Best use for Samics. So do you find that it pretty much gets them straight
Yeah,
every time you clamp it up?
You don't need to over clamp them. You don't need to, crank it and like going for that half a leather. You just sort of put a minimum amount of pressure and it's perfectly fine. And I've got a. Sometimes I'll just check. So I've kind of added bolts and bits and pieces because everything moves a little bit, even when it's. So yeah, just.
That was Francois.
Yeah, it is. He's.
Either that or they can power all these screwdrivers.
And
One or the
I like
other.
to put a pen, mark with pen,
All your box.
because it's easier to see when you've got all the dust. Pencil can get disguised a wee bit. I don't really do lines anywhere else on the hammer at any stage, only on the.
So you've just put a line on the stripe.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a strike point.
Close to it anyway.
Yeah. And then what my procedure is just to voice above the lacquer, whatever they use to put that, just go above that, just put a little bit of softness on that edge, that high shoulder, and go right up to the strike point, and then often you'll take it back and go over the strike point in the piano. With just very, shallow, but because Yamaha's, if you go to Yamaha where the hammers are 30 years old, 40 years old, you can go straight over the strike point and they sound quite nice without doing any work to the hammers. But if you do work to the hammers, obviously it's going to sound nicer. And so then I just you clamp it.
Can we see it?
So-
Can you? You can't do it on that bench. But
No, oh,
clamp it to the piano and we can all see it from this side.
we could do.
What we could clamp
I-
it to that bench.
Yeah, let's clamp it to that.
Is that sturdy
That
enough?
should be alright. It's only 8 hammers.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to drive it too hard.
No, no.
Because the thing is, I don't think they're very good quality felt that they use. They're quite.
I mean this one.
Yeah.
No.
No. So there's no point faffing around and doing nice needling.
Yeah.
You just want to get some softness
Just
in there.
Too old to worry about it.
Yeah. Glad I confirmed that with you, because I'm nervous about saying they just use rubbish hammers. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, hopefully the hollow core of this table deforms,
Yeah.
deforms enough to get a grip,
I don't recommend making a workbench with all these things.
No. Our favourite game is clamping it to the table saw because that's not going to walk away.
Yeah.
Oh, you just buy a slightly larger version. Just drill a hole and fill it full of epoxy.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Seems like a good use of money.
Normally I do this in the bench vise.
Do you still use those locking plates from the legs in any of your benches?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fast.
So, normally say with a U1, just do 3 sections, the bass, tenor and then treble, all in one go. And
Yeah, I've put one of those Steinway leg mounting
on the bass.
on the bottom of that,
Yeah.
and one in the bench.
Oh yeah.
So all my jigs, I've all got that on the bottom. They just go there
Rock solid.
and lock them on.
The other trick with these is just putting a bit of paper, I think you used to do that as well, did you know it?
It's
Over the
Meg's
springs.
here.
Yes.
And just tape it all the way along, and you don't gouge your fingers either. So this doesn't take very long, you just get brutal.
Just thinking of your mother-in-law the whole time.
Thinking of sandwiches.
No, because that would be snap. Snap.
You are putting pressure on the back of the hammer with your thumb.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
moving your thumb along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want a bit of practice because you.
Yeah.
And I always voice like that, so then I have to turn it around. So I never voice like that. I don't get the control. And don't like it. Same with shaping. I always shape. Turn it, so I do the voicing on one side, and then I do
Probably
the.
just about lean over, spin it the whole table and lean over.
Yeah. Should I do the other side then? Also, so I think I could do the other side.
What are you doing then, Andrew? Could you explain to us what the symptom of this piano is that makes you want to do this voicing?
Just because the hammers are nearly always too hard.
So they're bright and
Yeah.
screaming
Yeah.
and
Jangly and just and you come to them and these aren't the worst. You get much harder hammers in these. These are actually probably
That's the low bass though, isn't it?
yeah. As they go
Quite
up
smart
into
playing.
just the smaller hammers, the less felt on them, they just become like rocks.
Also, but also you're having no problem driving those needles.
No,
into
they're
the-
not rock
Yeah.
solid. They're
Yeah.
probably on the softer end of Yamaha hammers, but it still is going to benefit even when there's a limp. You feel they're not that bad. It'll still improve them.
And you'll do this procedure even on 30, 40-year-old hammers? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about here?
predominantly you see them in their universities and schools, and nothing's ever been done to them other than tuning. And the hammers are just 10 times worse than that. The string cuts can be 20 mil
Yeah.
long, and the hammers just
So
absolutely no
you're,
shape whatsoever.
so you're needling them to get some
Just a little bit
some
of
give in, some
just a
spring
little bit
into
of
them.
give, yeah.
And you're going to shake them as
Yeah,
well.
because they don't respond like a nice hammer. You don't get that same characteristic, but they still, because the Yamaha piano is built so well, the hammer doesn't really need to be doing much. If it's really too hard, it just sounds dreadful. But if it's quite soft, that's why you can, with old ones, you can just kill them over the top, and they still sound nice.
And this will
Without doing
this is a lasting thing, or how
Yeah,
long
yeah,
before?
particularly with the shape. If you do the shape, then it's a lasting thing because you've got a nice surface, smaller surface to work with, and so you can do adjustments if you need to on the surface.
And you expect this then at the end of of your procedure to not be as bright,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
harsh, and clangy
yeah,
as your
yeah. A bit mellower and a bit
richer.
yeah. So you hear some music teachers particularly who like to say, I don't really like Yamahas, I like Kuwais because they sound more.
They like British marshmallows
Yeah.
is what they
Yeah.
like. So that's
This is-
an old,
this is making
an old
Yamaha
crapped out Brinsmead
Just a little bit more
looking
mellow
one.
and tolerable to some of those people who don't like the clangy Yamaha.
Especially in a small room. Yamahas can get too harsh in
Yeah,
a small
yeah.
room. Especially teaching rooms when they're like a cupboard.
Yeah.
And those teachers have got to listen to their everyday.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
but you don't really do this predominantly for that. That's just one that's one sort of school of thought. This is going to improve the tone.
Well, the important thing, the unfortunate thing with the Yamahas in New Zealand is that most of them were just never voiced.
Yeah.
And so, I find with this age hammers on grand because the customers expect more. I just have to throw the hammers away
Yeah.
because there's no real elasticity and they're wanting more musicality and dynamic range.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these little uprights,
Yeah.
there's still something good under
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're under less pressure because they're in, they're
Yeah.
upright, they're in a small
Yeah.
practice room or they're in a classroom or
Yeah.
somebody's home or something like that. So they're not being asked to do too much.
No.
So you can mellow them down and they'll sound perfectly nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different for a grand piano and that's being asked to do something more. Then that procedure is probably not.
No,
But get the shape. But always the shape is going to be.
I find that the voicing will just come back because they're going to come and thrash
Yeah.
at it and it will just reharden again.
Yeah.
And there's no elasticity actually in the structure anymore.
Yeah.
But these little practice room uprights, I agree
Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
And it's quite therapeutic, because when you do standard pre-voicing, it's agony. It takes a long time, and this is just nice. Just
Cut loose
whack
on
it out.
Yeah. Just don't sort of doze off a bit. and
Yeah,
stay
yeah,
something
yeah,
still
yeah,
like
yeah.
fun.
So hopefully we can do it without. And I kind of try and be reasonably accurate, but I don't really mind too much. I'm just trying to soften them.
We'll see me go patterns, but I'm a bit confused now. I think that's again.
Well, he's going from thicker in the base to
How come you're not breaking needles like DJ was yesterday?
But this is a Yamaha, not Steinway? It's a big difference.
I haven't replaced needles in this thing for years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some-
Some So if I went to a Salmon, I wouldn't even try and threaten it with needles.
Well, it's
Then you're gonna
yeah.
say,
No, you may as well be trying to just voice the rivet.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How deep are your needles?
How deep?
They're big ones, or 8.
Unless
They're the thin ones.
6 or
How long?
Yeah. They're about, yeah, but that's probably from, we're doing another set of voicing, so normally when I'm doing
somehow
the nice voicing, I'll adjust the length as you go through the piano.
So you use longer needles on this?
On this one,
Yeah, just to get it, you know, what are you using, 5 mil, 6 mil long?
whereas
a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like something like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But really, that's enough just to get a bit of cushion there. You want to go you don't want to sugarcoat it to the point where
Can I have
you
a
want
feel?
to.
So much.
Yeah, yeah,
of them?
yeah.
Andrew, are there certain like makes or like brands
Yeah,
that
I mean,
are
they're
sort
not
of beyond
bouncing
alteration?
back
Like you
like
suggested
new
before
hammers, but
that
they are bouncing back.
like
So they get so you
someone
push
doesn't
them
like
in.
Yamaha because it's too bright,
And
and
then
then
they-
you can take it away and go, no, I'll do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there pianos that are so far down the line when they come out of the factory that you just say, no, you've got the wrong piano for the sound you want?
Yeah,
Or can you?
no, there are lots of pianos for that.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
often, you will say sometimes that this
You-
is just
you
the wrong
can-
piano, buy a different one.
Yeah, you can improve them, but a lot of the problem is with say with the Yamaha, you've got a good body, fundamental structure to the piano. Other pianos will have, they might have a Renner action or arbor hammers, but the fundamental quality and the structure of the piano is
Yeah, sure.
poor.
Okay.
So you've got nice things to work with, but the improvement is going to be.
So Yamahas are generally kind of okay, but they can be adjusted.
Yeah, and because they tend to become bright, so they're quite, there's a lot of quality from the instrument itself, and it's a bright sound naturally. So and the hammers tend to be hard, so they tend to become over bright. More, that's the kind of predominant way that the Yamahas work. Lots of pianos become over bright because of the way the hammer works, but Yamahas particularly.
This is clear.
And because there's a lot of Yamahas around, and there's a lot that are 30, 40 years old that have had no work done to them, so you get that's kind of extreme, and because they're played a lot, that they're not institutions where they're just played and played and played, and they can stand up to that, but tonally they're starting to creak a wee bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Do we want to do a little bit of shaping? Really? Who wants to?
I'll do a little bit.
You want
do a little bit.
really? So normally I wear a mask when I'm shaping. It's disgusting.
What's wrong with the big cotton mouth?
Yeah, yeah. But I like to just. This is 80 grit, and this takes quite a bit of material off, and I use that for doing new hammers as well, because you're shaping rather than just kind of following what's there. So here we go.
Matt, you this done before?
Matt wants to do it.
Matt always wants to shake hammers.
Really?
Got some hammers with a shaft. So you just put some new hammers on Sarah's. Is there any felt left?
He's not able to touch it.
It's got a light touch.
He's got a second set of hammers that he's allowed to do.
Sarah's locked the door and he's only allowed near the piano.
Yeah.
She keeps saying, look, you've got your own.
She's confiscated the sandpaper.
You know, that's what I said at the Steinway factory. What happens when I'm down to the wood? and Jan looked freaked out and walked over and he went,
That woody sound.
actually, yeah, because it's, they figured out what I was about pretty quickly.
So you'd go up to and just before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
line,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. Because when I started, I used to lead quite a bit lower, and then you just faff around so much.
And then you end up round.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd probably go a little bit more pointed, but
Same thing.
yeah.
Very weird.
The main thing is you've done nearly all the shaping with this. The rest of it's just tidying up.
Yeah.
And
I have a question,
yeah,
because I was watching David as well yesterday.
yeah,
And I've obviously been trained in the UK in a very different way.
yeah,
And my Mr. Beckett, who was
yeah,
God, he was a really particular person. He was always concerned about taking off too much weight on the hammer because
Yeah.
of the way it would affect the playing.
yeah.
Because the actions are designed to have
A certain weight. Yeah.
You're taking off a lot of felt there.
Mhm.
So what's your thoughts around that? Because you're going to have to change the whole action feel
Yeah.
because you've taken off a lot of weight.
Yeah.
His way of approach was that the less you can take off, the better,
Yeah.
because then you're keeping the piano as it should have been.
Yeah.
I know, I get what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
I think
I'm
it
not
probably doesn't.
criticising,
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, no,
interested.
it's interesting. I've never thought of that, but I think probably all the way less friction in the piano from when it was new anyway. So it's playing much easier, and everything's a bit more loose in the instrument anyway.
Yeah, but
But you're
just
affecting the
wait,
design.
Yeah.
just wait that powder
Yeah.
or dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, then probably that amount, 0.1 gram
Almost
anything
irrelevant.
per
Yeah.
7-8
Yeah.
hammers, for
Yeah.
example. So one hammer per only 0.05 gram
Oh, sure.
to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm just interested
Yeah, yeah.
to make that
It
point
doesn't
because
matter.
you are taking a lot of weight off the hammer.
In an upright though, you won't get anywhere near
That makes no difference.
Yeah,
It feels
yeah.
better
No,
when
I'm
it's done
talking
because
about
the response on the
in
hammer.
particular, because obviously the way they're set up is a very different beast.
Oh, I do really notice that after sort of the fourth or fifth reshape, that you know, but because I think that's the compromise. You're trying to keep a nice shape. You actually have to remove a certain amount of materials to get that tension on the outside layer, and pianists can clearly hear when it's not right.
Sure.
But yeah, by that, that's why most sets of hammers 5, 6 reshapes max.
That's it.
That's it.
One of the things I think is worth saying that this pointed egg shape that I was talking about yesterday that you're making here, I mean that's done for a reason. It's done so that you end up with a hammer which has relatively small string cuts, of course.
And a very defined
So it's a
striking
very
point.
defined strike point, and that was going to access the biggest tonal spectrum out of that hammer, because the hammer is, as it strikes, it's not damping at the same time. Whereas certainly what we might call Victorian pianos and with very soft hammers and very round hammers, we think, oh, what a gorgeous, sometimes people say plummy sound with a round, soft hammer, and that's because because that round shape is also doing some damping as it hits the hammer, so it's muting some of those high partials which we're accessing for ping or brightness or colour. So it's a tonal style thing as well.
Although I know that if you try to make Yamaha hammers too pointy, they sound really ugly. I'd seen that before. Yeah. Wow, nasty.
Yeah.
Hey, so going on Yuji's theory of
Gram weight.
would you say 0.1 of a gram for 7 hammers? So if you divide that by 7,
Yeah, just
and then you
measure
multiply it by
digital.
4.8 for an action ratio, shaping the hammers in a gram
half, is
will
it?
take
Half. Yeah.
0.068 of a gram of each key. Oh, I don't think the answer.
Yeah, and
say that.
we can
One gram's
add
5 grams.
weight to the hammer by hammer
Sure,
weight
it's
that
just
Wytze is talking about.
I just thought
Yeah.
that
If you vary
it
like
hasn't been
If we
brought
really
up.
want to.
Yeah.
The guy that taught me.
Just replace it by a sticking piece.
Like a microscopic.
I think with a Yamaha,
He would
the
also-
playability is that you've got a big window
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're so well built that
to make
you've got a big window
Yeah, I thought
margin.
Yeah.
You just even when you do this, you take very little of the top. The regulation, you shouldn't do any regulation either. It's not regulation. The regulation's been solid for 30 or 40 years. Sometimes there's more in the block in the bushing or something like that.
That's right. Because you look at the amount of fells
The market rails, those older ones, particularly, remarkably well built.
I was there.
Would you need to go back?
Oh, really? Yeah. Team job, team effort.
That pointy shape you start from the bottom and you basically